Welcome to New Creations Victorian Railroad Buildings, located in Bakersfield, California, 1 hour from the famed Tehachapi Loop. As part of building his model railroad layout, Alan Rogers took photos and made scale drawings of a number of buildings in the Southwest, many of which no longer exist. New Creations Victorian Railroad Buildings has turned these photos and drawings into kits with laser-cut wood, 3D printed components and detailed instructions. We produce kits in HO, O, S, N and G scales. Our O scale kits are compatible with Holiday Village dioramas. You can see our products at train shows or use the QR code to visit our website. We hope you will try our unique kits. They are easy and fun to build, even for beginners. You will enjoy the finished models for many years to come.
Thank you so much, Alan, for being a sponsor for this segment. And now I'd like to turn it over to our host, Steve Bittinger, who's assisted today by Steve Sherrill. So Steve and Steve, welcome.
Well, good evening. This is Steve Sherrill. I'm assisting Steve Bittinger for this segment. We're in Steve's workshop right now, and he's going to share with us some of his techniques to do large G scale buildings. What we're looking at in front of us right now is the Cormany Coal Company. And let's get right with Steve and have him tell us a little bit about it and share some of his techniques.
Well, good evening and welcome to our workshop here this evening. Just really quickly, the Cormany Coal Company is based on the fact that my grandmother, one of 11 children, had 2 brothers who owned the Cormany Coal Company. And they were not coal miners. They actually drove trucks up to Western Pennsylvania, loaded coal in their trucks and took it back and sold it in the area just outside of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where they lived. And they delivered to homes and businesses in the coal business. So hence, when I was building the coal mine, this one is a replacement of one I built 20 years ago. So it's still the Cormany Coal Company.
Steve, the structure we see in front of us, what's the size of that?
So what we're looking at actually is everything but the first level. The first level is already out on the railroad. I saved the loader bays and everything to build this one. And it's going to go right back on the same foundation of what's going to happen. So we're sitting here right now. If you can envision, the top of the rail is about 11 inches below the foundation line here, where the loading bays are. And if we look at the building as you see it, left to right in front of you, it's 38 inches wide. It's 32 inches deep. And currently right here in front of us, it's about 36 inches tall. And when it's all said and done, it'll be about 48 inches tall.
All right, I've been sharing some of the techniques you use to build this building.
So I thought what I would do, just to get an idea, of course, the building's almost finished. So I thought at first I'd show people how the roof is made, this material you see on here. And for that, what I've done is this material right here, which is 36 gauge aluminum. I bought this online. It's sold in 12-inch by 120-inch rolls. It took a roll and a half to produce for this building, so it's about a $25 roof. This is $17.25 a roll. 36 gauge is stiff enough that you don't have to worry about crushing it. You can put your hand out on there. For the purpose of this, because you want it to look like a real model, the exposure is for about 10 feet, roughly, on a real building. You have an underlap, which you have to allow for as you lay it down. I use a regular paper cutter. And I'm going to set that in there for a 6-inch cut, is what I normally do with this. And once we've done that, we need to flatten it out just a hair. Steve supplied me with this expensive tool right here, which is the edge of a 2x4, the nice rounded ends. We're just going to get that nice and flat to the next step in this. The next step is this crimping process. For the crimping, this is what I use, this crimping tool right here. It's made by Marvy, M-A-R-V-Y. I paid a whole $14 for this. It's a nice heavy duty crimper. It'll handle this gauge of metal, and it can handle 8.5 inches wide as it goes in. So we're going to take our 6-inch cut. And the reason I straightened that out is because when you open up the jaws on this, you get a little gap between the rollers. You're going to insert your metal right down in that gap. Make sure it's straight. And there we have our metal. So the next process is going to be mounting the metal onto here. The substructure for my roof is this material right here. I collect these. These are real estate signs made out of polycore scrap ones. Got plenty of those. That's what's underneath of here. We're going to apply this material onto that roof. You can also, if you don't have a cutter like this, a really good pair of scissors will also work on this stuff. You just get yourself in there. Just like that. Get out our fancy tool once more. And we're all set to put that on there. I'm in the construction business. We use a lot of this material right here. It's called PL375. PL375 is a Loctite Corporation product. $3.07. I like it better than liquid nails because it will smooth out more readily for you. And when you put it on, it's going to get plenty of it, so it goes up inside those grooves. And we're going to take a flat knife and a little bit of spritzing with our water. The water helps it spread. If you don't like this, just use your fingers.
How big is that tool, Steve?
That's a 4-inch. If you got small pieces of metal that you're going to put on, like up here, that tiny piece, you're going to go down to something like that right there. And there's what we want first. Next step's going to be put that on there just like so. And about 30 minutes from now, that's going to be tacky dry. Overnight, it'll be completely hard. That's the process on the roof. Next step is going to be, I take the same material, the same PL375, I put it on the roof here, just like that, same way. If you look at my material I have here, here's the side that does not have any on, kind of shiny. This is the side that has the PL375 on it. The reason I put it on is that will give you 100% waterproof surface when it's done. Second advantage, this will bond spray paint way better than the shiny side. Even though I'm using primer, I paint everything I do flat black to start with. This roof is flat black, followed by aluminum and then my red oxide to get that sort of weathered look that you want to finish up with. I guess we'll ask for any questions anybody has about the roof, and then I'll move on to the next item.
Steve, this is Alan Rogers, and I don't want to seem impertinent. Well, maybe I'm going to be, but I just have to ask. So what do people say when you take the for sale sign out of their front yard to make a roof out of it?
My wife's in the real estate business. That answer your question? So, you know, a lot of these signs, they get damaged, not used anymore, et cetera, and so forth. We have an excellent way to get them here. Just wait till a big snow. The snow plows go by and flatten these things out, and you just go out and pick them up. So,
Also, political signs made the same material.
yes, but yeah, campaign signs, et cetera. There's plenty of sources for that polychorus for free. I have a gal that prints the signs, and you won't believe how many people order signs and never come and get them.
Steve, what's the
Okay.
life of the roof outside?
The life of the roof, my old building lasted 20 years with that roof.
Gotcha.
So I thought if we're done, the next thing we move on to, kind of watching our time, is windows. Windows in G-scale are expensive to do. So I had to try to find a source of economize on that. So what I'm using for the windows you see in the structure is this material right here. These are called egg crate diffusers. These are what go in drop ceilings over top of fluorescent lights. The thing is about a ½ inch thick. They come in 2x4 sheets. They come in 2x2 sheets. A sheet this size is about $26 for a 2x4 sheet. You can get hundreds of windows out of this. The way I cut it is I put it on my table saw. I decide how many panes I want the windows to be. For example, I got a finished one laying right here. I'll show you the back side. This is a 3x6 that obviously we would cut 3 rows. After we rip it lengthwise, we would rip it crosswise to get the ones we want. Here's what I'm going to show you. These are 2x2s in this building. And here's a 2x2 that went through the table saw. Now take it out. And of course, we would run it through a second time and get all of our 2x2 windows. Once you have those, they're going to look like these little guys. Next step is going to be just paint them whatever you want. These are just flat black. If you want red, whatever, just paint them red. When you're all done with that, now we're going to take and put acetate, which I thought we had some here. All right, good.
What are you looking for?
Clear acetate sheet.
Huh.
Now our clear acetate sheet up and walked away on us here. But anyway,
Here it is.
no, I'm sorry, my assistant had it.
Beautiful assistant.
We're going to mount the clear acetate here. And for mounting that, the best thing I have found is this product. This is called canopy glue. Canopy glue, when used, will dry perfectly clear. You don't have to worry about messing up your panes on it. Super glue, that kind of stuff will always follow them. This product works great. It's just going to be a matter of taking your window. You're going to just apply a decent bead. We can get it out of there, right there. Don't worry, just don't even worry about where it goes. You can just be sloppy, whatever you want. You stick it right on there. You let it dry. It gets dry in about 3 hours. About 3 hours time, they're ready to handle. Take a utility knife, trim around the acetate to what you want, and you have your window. These windows because my walls are so thick, my walls are 1.25 inches thick out of foam on here, and they're open all the way through. If you want skinnier ones, try to hold this up here and show you the difference. This is what it looks like coming out of the grid. This is one that has passed through a table saw. I wanted it down to a much narrower frame. I have a very tiny micro saw. I just stand these up, pass them through 4 times, and you have this thickness. After that, the sashes themselves on the face. This is just a matter Sharpie pen and going right along here, blackening in the frame on the outside of the glass. It appears that the frame is out here and not the shiny glass on that side. So if we look at the building that we have here, these are what we see done in those various locations. And I would say, out of that 2x4 sheet, I could probably get about 120 windows. So my cost might be 20 cents a piece, 20 to 25 cents. Questions on those?
That's
How many
fantastic.
How many windows are in the coal company, Steve?
Most of the windows on this are on the ends and the side. I think we have about 48 windows on here. Also, if you do a building that has glass thrustry along the top, these are perfect for this. If you have them up high in the structure, you've all probably seen buildings like that, where it's a continuous glass all the way across. This is the way for G-scale guys have to build it.
Steve,
Jim,
tell us what
I'm sorry,
happened to
didn't mean
the
to interrupt.
old tipple.
The old tipple, here's what I can tell you, don't use wood outdoors. Eventually, the wood in it decomposed. And even though it was covered in plastic and styrene, the water got inside of it. And 20 years is pretty good, actually. 20 years outside.
Hmm.
Okay, next up item, I thought I would tell you about the trims that are used on these buildings. If you're using hobby trims, you can use evergreen plastics and things like that nature. It can get pretty pricey. It takes a huge amount of trim. There's trim on the corner, outside corners, there's joist trims, there's eave trims, trims around all your windows. So you have a lot of trim. If you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, Menards, wherever you want to go, you can find a product that is an inside corner trim. And this stuff is quite sturdy. This is 4 feet of it. It comes in 8-foot strips. And I actually had a print off. So if you walk in, you know what you're looking for. This is the material. $3.48 will get you 8 feet of this trim. You'll find it back in the standard trim departments and most of the big box supply stores. What you want to do with that trim is you want to separate this interior web that's in there, this flat straight piece, and that's going to give you your outside corner and that's gone. Couple ways to achieve that. One, I lay it down with a little piece of Luan, 5/16 Luan trim, pass it through the table saw, and when I do that, that will separate this. I'm only cutting deep enough not to cut into the corner. So when I get done, I'm going to have a flat piece of trim, about 5/8 of an inch wide, outside corner, about a 1/2 inch outside corner. Some of that, here we go, so much stuff.
Let's look for one.
Yeah, there we go.
This part right here can also be used a car card system. You can put the card area right here, tack it against your fascia, and your car cards
Yeah,
will fit right in that groove.
I'll stand up right in there. So once we separated this, here's the first piece, the flat one. This has just been primed with red oxide. Here's the second one. This has been run through the saw a second time to get it down to half that width. And here's our outside trim. This is the corner piece. This is the piece we're looking for right on there. So I would venture to say you could cut this down to 1/8 of an inch wide at the narrowest. That'll be about as small as you're going to get. In G scale, that's pretty small trim on something like this.
You probably can't get
That's
an idea of how you compare it to something. But Steve's got an HO diesel that he's going to put on the building to show you the size. So you can see how big that building is. And yet it's not very heavy.
One little thing I'll
Steve, that
add,
looks fantastic. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing all of this with us this evening, and we'll have to continue this the next time.
fine, thank you very much. Enjoy being here.
Okay.